The temple that defined early Judaism, the center of cultic worship, was laid atop a hill. Over the centuries, the temple was damaged and repaired, devastated and rebuilt anew. In the 1st century of the Common Era, a troublesome rabbi and carpenter from Nazareth was paraded alongside the walls of the holy enclosure to be executed on a hill across one of the valleys. 40 years later, the temple was finally razed, its stones overturned, the city laid waste, its surviving population dispersed. 2.5 centuries later, the Roman Empire converted to follow the rabbi it had executed, and under the resulting Byzantines, Jerusalem became a Christian city in a Christian country. Then Islam rose up out of the south and covered the land, and the followers of the Prophet Muhammad claimed the Temple Mount as their own holy ground, and built on it their houses of worship, ornate and intricate, passionate expressions of geometry and color. Crusaders arrived and were thrown out. The Mamelukes ruled, and the Ottoman Empire reached out from the north to occupy the land as far as the Red Sea, until that empire, too, became corrupt and weak. In the 2nd decade of the 20th century, General Edmund Allenby pitted his clever mind against the dying empire, and in September 1918 achieved his victory in the fields of Armageddon. The British declared a protectorate over Palestine, and began the process of impossible decision-making, decisions whose effects and implications have shuddered through the years to the present day. There is, I am obliged to say, no clear evidence that the following tale is true. Granted, many of the people mentioned in it did exist, and most of the physical landmarks described by Ms. Russell, the Cotton Grotto, the Haram es-Sharif, the cisterns, streets, and public baths, the monasteries in the desert, are there to this day. Even the western wall was then as she describes it, a dank stone courtyard measuring some 50 yards long and 10 deep, crowded round by the high dwellings of impoverished North African Muslims. Still, there is no proof that this heretofore unknown chapter of Israel's history actually took place. Then again, there is no proof it did not. Laurie R. King. From Psalm 137, verse 5, "If I forget thee, O Jerusalem, let my right hand forget its cunning." And now, O Jerusalem.
The education of a scholar is greatly benefited by travelling in the pursuit of knowledge and to meet the authorities of his age. The Muqaddimah of Ibn Khaldun. During the final week of December 1918, shortly before my 19th birthday, I vanished into British-occupied Palestine in the company of my friend and mentor Sherlock Holmes. The reasons for our temporary exile I have given elsewhere. But as that adventure had almost no bearing on what we did while we were in the Middle East, I need not go into it in any detail here. Suffice it to say that our Holy Land sojourn was by way of being a retreat, distressingly near ignominious, a means of distancing ourselves from a disastrous field of battle, England, while we patched the wounds that our bodies and our self-respect had sustained, and assembled plans for the next stages of that campaign. We entered the country, a British protectorate, since the autumn's triumphs over the Turks, under the auspices of Sherlock Holmes's brother, Mycroft, an enigmatic and occasionally alarming figure whose authority within His Majesty's government was as immense as it was undefined. Given the necessity of our temporary absence from the United Kingdom, Mycroft had presented us with a choice of 5 venues, in each of which he, and hence His Majesty, had tasks with which he needed help. Holmes, in a spontaneous and utterly unexpected recognition of my increasingly adult status in our partnership, had ceded the choice to me. I chose Palestine. A note about Arabic. Arabic has more grammatical forms than English. For example, he and she take separate verb